Hey guys, so this is episode 2 of our new series called Building a Startup. In this series, I'm going to be talking about the process of building a startup, everything that we're going through, the good, the bad, and hopefully what comes after our initial stage. And yeah, so my name is Ivan, I'm from Bulgaria. I've been building apps and websites for a very long time. And now I'm actually building a new product, a new startup. This is probably my seventh or eighth attempt at doing this, but yeah, hopefully this one will be successful. Hopefully we'll be able to make it into a nice project that a lot of people use and a lot of people enjoy. So yeah, last week was the first episode of this series, and this week I'm gonna be telling you about the progress that we've had since that episode was recorded. And honestly, unfortunately, there hasn't been that big of a progress because basically our developer and his whole family actually got COVID last week. So he wasn't able to do a lot of work. He has to take care of his family. So yeah. But other than that, we've been progressing on other tasks that we have because it's obviously not just development work. One of the major things that we've had progress with is actually we are trying to apply into a program for European Union funding. For those of you that don't know, there is a lot of funding available for European Union member countries, and Bulgaria is one of those countries. So yeah, essentially we're trying to apply for European Union grants. Yeah, we're now in the process of evaluating whether or not we're going to be a good fit for that phase of the program. But yeah, that's something that we've been working on consistently over the past week. We have supplied the consultants for the project with the necessary documentation. And now I think they've already reviewed that documentation. So now on Thursday, we're now Tuesday. So on Thursday of this week, we're expecting to have a meeting with them to discuss whether or not they think we're a good fit and if we have a good chance of actually getting the funding. The second thing that we were able to achieve this week, we actually finally managed to set up the cold outreach automation over email. So I was looking for a software, a product that can do both LinkedIn and email in the same tool. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be a very popular combination. So there are a lot of tools that do email cold outreach. There's also a lot of tools that do LinkedIn cold outreach, but not a lot of them actually can combine the two. I actually couldn't find a good one at all. So I decided that we're gonna put the LinkedIn outreach on hold for a while, and we're basically gonna focus on email cold outreach. I think it's probably still the best one and the stickiest, the one that's working best. So I think it only makes sense to focus on that channel. And then potentially, if we don't see results with email, we could also add LinkedIn at some later point. Yeah, so that's something that we've done. We're using a software called Woodpecker. I can add a link in the description. But yeah, it's basically you import your list of emails and then you set up a campaign. It actually allows for a multi-stage campaign. It has rules and other features inside it. It's actually a good piece of software. I like it. So yeah, today I've scheduled the first campaign and it should send to about 50 emails today. So we'll see how that goes. I've also set it up with a few different options, a few different variants. And yeah, we'll see which one does the best from the ones that I've set up. But instead of telling you all about it, let me quickly show you what I've done so far. Jumping on the computer right now. This is the Woodpecker dashboard. I've already started the other campaign, so this is a copy of that campaign. Essentially, I have one condition, which is if the user, basically the email, has a tag which says lead, then there are 3 versions of the campaign that are set to be sent on random to different people. You can add some variables here and all that, but yeah, that's basically the whole setup. I have 3 versions. Like I said, they're set to be sent to basically 1/3 of the user base each at random. I have set the times at which the campaign should be sent. These are actually the default times. So yeah, nothing fancy, nothing crazy here. And essentially it's gonna send about 50 emails per day or something like that. But yeah, the one that's currently running is this one. It's actually a 50% open rate, which is pretty good if you ask me. And if you look at the results here, you can see the one that's performing the best in terms of open rate, and then also click-through rate and all that. Yeah. So it's a pretty nice setup. And as you can see, my campaign setup is pretty straightforward, nothing fancy. So feel free to copy it or send me any ideas of how I can actually set it up better. Now back to what we were doing next. I just show you how I set up the cold outreach campaigns. We'll see how they do. We are using an email list of recently funded startups. We're getting this from CyberLeads. I'll put a link for that in the description as well. But what we're doing with that list is we're selecting companies that have mobile apps only, because these are potentially our target customers. And we're not doing it super aggressively right now because we're just launching a public beta. So it's not like we're ready with the final product or something like this. We'll probably do a more sophisticated and more complicated campaign once we're ready. The other thing we accomplished last week was we recorded and published the first episode of this series, which was something that we were looking to do for a while. So yeah, happy for the progress there. And some other smaller tasks have been the fact that we have been researching information that we can include in a white paper that we want to add for the people that sign up for the beta, or people that are just interested in the product who maybe don't want to sign up for the beta, but they maybe want to get notified at a later point in time when we're ready with the final product or something like this. So essentially we're working on a white paper that is going to give people the ability to get some more information about why it's a good idea to use surveys to question your users, when is a good idea to use surveys, examples of other companies using surveys, big names in the game that are using surveys. So yeah, that's another thing that we have started working on right now. Yeah, so hopefully our lead developer would get better next week or even this week, and start working on the finishing the dashboard, the user dashboard. And yeah, we had set a launch date for 1st of September. Honestly, I think that's now a little bit optimistic, having in mind that we are basically almost 1 week behind with all the development work. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll need to push the date for launching the public beta a little bit, maybe a week or two. We'll see how that goes. The other thing that we haven't actually been able to start work on is we want to have a preview app that basically gives users the ability to preview how a survey that they set up is going to look like in their application before actually putting it in their application. The idea there is that maybe in their application, they're going to have a complicated event that triggers the survey to launch, or it's a complicated flow. So it's not so easy to test every time they make a change in their application directly. So we want to give the users the ability to actually preview their survey and click through it outside of their actual application. Yeah, and we want to use that preview app to record some content for social media, some promotional content that we're going to use at this stage of the project. So yeah, that's something that we weren't able to start working on. Again, busy with client work. I know it's a lame excuse, but yeah, that's the reality of the situation. Yeah, other than finishing the dashboard, the other stuff that we need to accomplish is we have a little bit of migration to do on the backend side of things, because we had set up the infrastructure in one way when we were first launching the service at the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022. But there are some things that we need to optimize and improve a little bit. The other thing that we have already actually started working on is the getting started guide for the service, and then also the documentation of how the service is going to be implemented into the apps of users and what they need to do in order to launch a survey in their app. Yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'd be happy to answer them directly in the comments of this YouTube video. Or if you have anything else that you want to ask, if you're interested in the product, just let us know. Send me an email. I'll be happy to hear from you. Anyways, thank you guys for your time, and talk to you next week.